Hello, my valued viewer. Terraria is one of my favorite games of all time. It has amazing developers who make more references in their game than Sean Spencer does in all of Psych. Now, I really like Terraria, but I've never beaten it without dying before. I know there's several events that I haven't even beaten without dying, like the Pirate Army, the Martian Invasion, like very simple ones, like even the Solar Eclipse. Like so many I have not beaten without dying, and today I'm going to change all of that with this latest attempt. I believe this is 19. I didn't I recorded all of them, but uh, I realized that editing takes forever, so I just decided to show you the successful attempt. If you do want to see a fail compilation, which will probably be hilarious, just like the video or uh, put in the comments that you want to see it, and I'll probably just whip something up because I promise you it'll be hilarious. Um, that being said, I did this in expert mode. Expert mode is my favorite difficulty because of how much more is added from classic to expert. Master mode will provide there's almost nothing unique except for how enemy phases work with the bosses, and there's no real exclusive items other than pets. Defense scaling actually benefits the player a lot more in master mode. I'll explain that real quick. What defense scaling does functionally is make you have to progress more before you get to the next boss and grind more. So in classic mode, you can actually skip a lot and just rush a ton of bosses and stuff. Expert mode, you can't really rush too much. In master mode, you definitely have to grind out for good builds at pretty much every point in the game. And what I decided to do to make my life easier is to choose expert mode because the weaknesses of hardcore are when you have no progression. The beginning of the game and the beginning of hard mode will be the hardest points in the game just because of how that defense scaling works. How that works is in classic mode, 50% of defense goes to your actual damage reduction. So with a warding accessory, which is +4 defense, you get 2 damage reduction. In expert mode, it's 75%, so that's 3 with warding. And for master mode, you get 100%, so with warding, that is 4 damage reduction. And the more defense you have, the more beneficial it is to have defense proportionally. It's really hard to explain, but I don't feel like throwing too many numbers at you. So I'm just going to get into the game. As I've ran through all the stands with my world names, I'm on attempt 19, by the way. I ended up naming my world Nepal because I still wanted to learn geography. Now, Nepal is one of the worst worlds out there. Um, First of all, it has the corruption instead of the crimson. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, he's one of these guys. And by these guys, you better mean correct guys because the crimson is objectively better than the corruption in every mechanical sense. I can think of no situation other than potentially uh, rage, the rage buff compared to wrath for summoners that, and even then it's questionable. Um, that's about the only benefit the corruption can have over the crimson mechanically. It's easier, has less enemies, but hear me out. The corruption has one of the best tracks in the game, and that's really why people love it here. I mean, what can you say? I mean, I get to listen to that for half the game, so it's not too bad. But then actually load in and see the world generation. Now it's pretty regular, except for the fact that I get copper. Now copper's already bad because I like getting a pickaxe quick. Uh, Copper is the only pickaxe in the game that gives you just -1 range straight up, and that's very irritating and might get us in some problematic situations with enemies later. So I try to upgrade my pickaxe quickly. I also get lead. I just like iron better, and tungsten. Now, since I still want to whine, I'm just gonna say that tungsten has the highest melting point, and so it's harder to smelt or something. Yeah, take that, tungsten. As for our tier 4 ore, we get gold. Now, gold is actually the bad one here because compared to platinum, platinum has +4 defense with a total armor set compared to gold. So we might need to prepare just a little bit more before we start taking on these first few bosses. And much like with real world Nepal, Nepal is located, the spawn point is located right in between China and India. take that as you will. Now, given no other option, I'd start mining down and get full lead pretty quickly, as well as a lead sword and a tungsten pickaxe. Now, I do try and rush to make a pot. Pots are really good in this game. They're made with 10 lead or iron and a couple of wood. But why I want this is because of the well fed buff and its variants. Now, there are three variants of the well fed buff, which are well fed, plenty satisfied, and exquisitely stuffed. And you can get those pretty early in the game. If you tip trees, you can get apples, lemons, and all sorts of other fruits, um, which is really good to get well fed. But you can also cook animals with pots, which will give you well fed or even plenty satisfied, sometimes even exquisitely stuffed. What the different tiers will do here is it just increases as it goes on. What can I say? The buff itself, using plenty satisfied, which I'll have for most of the game, which is kind of the goal of having a pot. I just want it accessible for the whole game and at all times because you can get killed without this. Plenty satisfied gives +3 defense, +3% critical hit chance, +7.5% melee speed, +7.5% damage, +30% movement speed, and +10% mining speed. Uh, this one buff alone that's pretty free and just active all the time is like having 5 or 6 accessories like on at all times. It also gives you increased regen, uh, which I forgot to put in my notes, but whatever. I get some more tungsten, but most importantly, I find a mushroom biome. Mushroom biomes are really good for potion upgrades. Lesser healing potions get 50, and by using glowing mushrooms, you can upgrade lesser healing potions into healing potions, which heal 100 health per use. I also get our max HP up to 180, which is a little soft cap for now. The reason I want to wait is because the Eye of Cthulhu can spawn in at 200 HP. But if I get the chance to upgrade straight to 400 HP, I'll take it so that I don't die by any normal mobs, which are really the difficulty of hardcore. But I don't want to risk potentially just forgetting that an evil presence is watching me and then just die for being unprepared and stupid. So I decide uh, not to go over 180 HP. I also get some claws from the skeleton merchant, which I didn't know you could do before this, so that's kind of neat. But I do blow up a shadow orb and get a musket. Now the musket also gets the arms dealer. I'll buy a mini shark, but I will only use that to make other items later. I want to stick mostly melee for this route. By blowing up a shadow orb, I also get access to the goblin army. The goblin army is available after I think 160 max HP and blowing up a shadow orb, so that's useful. I also have access to the blood moon now that I have over 120 HP. I then get enough gems to make a hook. Uh, Hooks are really, really good in this video game. You see, Cloud in a bottle is not that great. I'm just gonna say it. Hooks are amazing. They can hook onto platforms. You can negate fall damage in a lot of situations. You can essentially fly in caverns because you can just continuously hook up the walls. And in fact, I do that for like this entire game. Um, and so hooks are really, really good to get, especially at the beginning of the game. I do buy a bug net so that I can catch bunnies and squirrels and start stocking up on them to have well fed for the rest of this game. I go into the underground desert for a second to get lava so I can make my waffle time cheese pit, which I actually don't really use that much. It's good for the terrain, I guess, but like I end up beating the game with only cheesing one event, which you will see later. I get early Hermes boots, and by early I mean several hours in. So, we take what we can get here. I then get the Light Bane. Now, I do actually like the Light Bane over the Blood Butcher. I think that's the one advantage the Corruption has, because the Light Bane has a little bit more crowd control, and that just increases your survivability a lot more. I like the little extra slash they have in. In fact, the whole melee rework is pretty much the reason why I'm going to be choosing the melee class for this whole thing. I don't think I've done a melee run since they have updated the game. I believe that was 1.4.4, maybe. I think it was like Labor of Love or something, but I can't entirely remember. But a lot of the swords are really cool now, and it makes the melee class a lot more viable than it was in the end game. And then find the jungle. Now, finding the jungle means a couple things. It gives us a lot of information. Finding the jungle is, of course, useful because the jungle is like half the game, but it also means in between the jungle and the ocean on that side of the world is going to be the shimmer. The shimmer is very, very useful for a lot of things in the game. We'll get to that later. But on the right side, that also means that we have the tundra and thus the dungeon because they are always on the same side, which will be opposite of the jungle and the shimmer. I then get enough gold from the jungle to make gold armor, which increases my survivability and means we can probably just take on the Eye of Cthulhu now. In fact, we'll do that in a little bit here. I get enough HP for max health, which I should have just used as soon as I got gold armor anyway, but I kind of forgot about it to be honest. And I start up my infinite Daybloom farm. Now, what I want to do for most of this game is keep buffs on because buffs are good in this video game. Iron Skin is like what 8 or 12 defense? I can't even remember. Like it's just it, having Iron Skin, regen, and swiftness alone are just a massive, massive buff to have for this entire game. And that's going to be more applicable later. Uh, but for right now, we're making our infinite Daybloom farm. I randomly get this item. I also find a sharpening station, which gives us 12 armor penetration for melee weapons permanently. It's until you die or leave the world. And so sharpening stations are really, really good to have, and it's just passive. I then get an armored cloud in a bottle for +3 defense and some maneuverability, but I also find some hard feral claws, which give +1 defense. And feral claws are one of the only class exclusive accessories at this point of the game, but it gives auto swing for melee and also, I believe, increases damage by 12% or its melee speed. Hold up. It is attack speed by 12%. Anyway, with our new accessories, which all have defense, by the way, uh, I'm able to take on the Eye of Cthulhu after an evil presence starts stalking me, and I don't particularly like stalkers, so I obliterate this trash. Like he does 4 to 9 damage throughout this entire fight. Like he just does nothing with my 35 defense. I think I only used Iron Skin, Well Fed, and like regen or swiftness or something, but I beat him with like no problem whatsoever with the boomstick, and I think I didn't even use silver bullets or tungsten bullets. I then decide to bully the stalker a little bit more, poke out both of his eyes for a violent reforge uh, on my Shield of Cthulhu, which is a pretty good accessory, and one of the only three uh, expert mode accessories that I ever really use, because the others are just kind of pointless, except for the Wall of Fleshes, which you'll see later. I then fight the Goblin Army. The Goblin Army is really good, but it just shows up at the beginning of the day, and I just absolutely obliterate all of them. I first think that, oh, I'm gonna cheese it with my cheese pit. Then I thought that's kind of cringe. Let's go out and fight it for once. But again, my defense was high, and again, the crowd control on the Light's Bane is just really good with the Feral Claws, and the Goblin Army goes down with a lot of ease. I then make the axe of regrowth. The axe of regrowth is my favorite axe in the game because after chopping down a tree, it just replants it for you automatically. And that'll also be really good to increase the profit from our infinite herb farms. I then find the shimmer in between the jungle and the ocean. I just go into like whatever neutral area it is in between them and just dig straight down. You'll probably find it pretty quickly. Uh, I then use the Reddit strategy of using doors to block off all my enemies. The creator of the game is very epic, by the way. You can also see him play with Chippy over on Chippy's channel because he's a better content creator anyway. Because I'm not really a content creator, if you can't tell. I then throw a mana crystal into the shimmer as well as a life crystal into the shimmer to get an arcane crystal and a vital crystal, which give you permanent buffs in the game. I do forget a few and have to come back for it. Specifically, Ambrosia, which increases your block placement speed and mining speed permanently as well. But by going back and forth, I'm able to get the Goblin Tinkerer to spawn on the platforms because that's just a really good strategy to find these guys underground. Most enemies will just drop through the platform anyway if you're below them, because that's how most enemies work, apart from slimes. So I find the Goblin Tinkerer pretty quickly. I also tried a new accessory for once, the Magoluminescence, whatever. That one, it just makes you have better acceleration and provides a little bit of light so you don't have to place torches every 5 seconds. But I use that for part of the game. It's decent, uh, but gives pretty much no mechanical advantage other than acceleration. So I do switch it out after a little bit. I then go to the right side beach and realize that I've explored the full world. And given that I do have a pylon system on the left side, I set up beach housing on the right side, which will allow us to teleport to pretty much anywhere on the surface very, very quickly. If you do want to know some happiness setups, uh, there's a boom happiness chart. Go boom, probably straight from the wiki. Look at my plagiarism. I get some jungle armor because I realize that that's just straight up better than gold, and I think it's slightly maybe one defense less than platinum, but it's a very good armor to have. I then fight the king slime with absolutely no struggle whatsoever. After not uninstalling the game and crying myself to sleep, I then go and make some snow housing or tundra housing, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a snow biome technically in this game, but whatever. I make some housing for that and start exploring the ice biome, which is the underground variant. I find some obsidian, which will allow me to make an obsidian skull and thus obsidian water walking boots. I also find some ice skates, which are also a part of the frostbark boots. I reforged my blade of grass, which I made into legendary. Legendary is the best modifier for most of the melee weapons in the game, but the blade of grass is our weapon of choice for the Eater of Worlds, which is coming up here really soon. I then use the shimmer in order to reforge. Apart from giving buffs, the shimmer can also decraft items. So by decrafting weapons or accessories, you can continuously reroll their modifier for free if you want to avoid the Goblin Tinkerer. It's just that the Goblin Tinkerer is probably much faster and always gives you a reforge. While I think it's it might be like a 1 in 4 or 1 in 3, but 1 in 3 chance to just straight up not give you a modifier for your crafted items. I then make a quick arena over our corruption and fight the Eater of Worlds, which goes down without any trouble whatsoever. But actually, this time. Oh, very cool. After making a elevator down our little ice biome shaft, I make some underground housing. Now, underground housing is going to be very good. I do like putting them right above the underworld, and by them I mean the demolitionist and the goblin tinkerer. I also make an extra house for the uh, what's her face mechanic later because I want to move her in instead of the demolitionist for max happiness for the goblin tinkerer for cheap reforges. Now I do make a shadow pickaxe and immediately start mining hellstone for like 20 minutes, but that's enough to make molten armor, a volcano, an imp staff, a upgraded bug net, and a molten pickaxe. Now that's just what everybody does. Like there's not much to it. I go back to find the stylist and the spider biome because I want happiness on the right side of my map for the pylons. Um, Using the stylist and the angler will actually get you the ability to purchase that ocean bylon, and that's just really useful. And I do want to note that I have been fishing like half this time, and uh, I do want to get that stupid achievement for the Supreme Helper minion. But even after all this, I still only have 137 quests out of 200. So let me know in the comments if you've ever beaten that, because I have not gotten that achievement and I've grinded for it a little bit. It's just so obnoxious. Now that I've beaten the evil boss, a meteorite has fallen, and I can mine it up to make the star cannon out of our mini shark. The star cannon is a very, very good weapon. It can cheese all of these pre-hard mode bosses, so naturally I forget to use it, and I just forget to use it. Although I think I accidentally cheesed the queen bee later. You'll see that. It was just so natural. Like, it was so forgettable, just like how I explored the Sky Islands and found literally nothing. Uh, it was, like, that forgettable, but what's unforgettable is the fact that I just randomly found a gold worm and decided to immediately invest it into a gummy worm, which gives you +5 fishing power permanently. And all these buffs go on your character. So if I die, these permanent buffs are gone. Gold worms, I believe, are still a 1 in 50 chance from a normal worm, and they have to not die by an enemy. After correcting myself with the wiki, I also found out that it's actually a 5% chance to get a gold worm from a can of worms, so it wasn't as lucky as I thought. It's like rolling a nat 20 in D&D, so it's like not that crazy. I then make an infinite blinkroot and daybloom farm because they're kind of the more useful herbs in this game. I do a little bit of jungle fishing for some junk. Then I make an arena for Skeletron. Now I did just get the worm scarf from uh the Eater of Worlds. The worm scarf is really good. It gives you 16 point like 6 7 reduced damage intake, which is really really good for a tanky build. And I believe it's a violent modifier, which is also really good for melee as it gives +4% melee swing speed. But I've been reforging all my weapons to +4 until this point anyway. So we go take on Skeletron after making an arena. Classic blunder. After defeating Skeletron, I decided to actually rush the dungeon. No, I this usually doesn't go well, but it went pretty easily this time. I remove a lot of the traps and spikes, get a bewitching table, which gives you +1 uh, minion slot at all times. This functions exactly like the sharpening station. We get the Muramasa, which is the final component of the Knight's Edge, which we make in just a minute. We get a Cobalt Shield, and a Shadow Key, which just gives us like infinite money in the underworld. Cobalt Shields, uh, they just negate knockback, which is really, really good for character control and making sure you don't get juggled, like you're stuck in a Luigi or Kazuya combo in Smash Bros. Ultimate. We get infinite herbs with everything now. Our complete setup's done. We got the active regrowth and everything, and so that's really, really good. We then take the Cobalt Shield and another Obsidian Skull in order to make the Obsidian Shield, which gives you +2 defense, as well as immunity to lava blocks and stuff, fire blocks, whatever you want to call them, and also gives you immunity to knockback, which is a really good accessory at this point in the game. We then finally take on the Blood Moon, and by finally, I mean we've been fighting it a couple times, but this time we actually get the Shark-Tooth Necklace, which is arguably the best accessory in pre-hard mode. It gives +5 armor penetration to every class of the game, and given that we're also using summons, it's still going to be really good because I like using mixed classes. So I take whatever damage I can get, I throw on summons throughout this entire game, and I'll even use another mage weapon later. Uh, and you'll see what that is. You can probably already guess what that is, quite honestly. I quickly get some bass statues from the desert biome, do some corrupt fishing for whatever reason, probably for wrath potions, quite honestly. Now in the jungle, I very purposefully hit the queen bee spawner, and even more purposefully cheese the queen bee. See, the queen bee has like two ways to cheese it, and when combined, it just makes her no threat. Um, First off, when she dashes at you, you can use the Shield of Cthulhu and just dash into her as well, and she'll take the damage, and you won't get hit. Um, you can also, it, I didn't realize this, but if she's in like a ceiling or something, her stinger shots will collide with the blocks and just do nothing. So we cheese the queen bee by accident. I mean, on purpose, because that's just strategically the best option. I refight the Eater of Worlds for a Void Bag. Now, Void Bags are just really good. You can make them using Jungle Spores, whatever evil item you get from the boss, this time Shadow Scales, and also Bones for the dungeon in order to make a Void Bag. It's just an extra inventory, and it's a very good item to have no matter what you're doing. I loot the Underworld for just infinite money while making an arena for about 30 minutes. Now, I do opt to use stone platforms, which are made by converting stone into stone brick and then stone brick into stone platforms. Why these are useful is because in expert mode, when the slimes die, their extra move in the underworld is to drop lava, and that destroys any platform that isn't stone. And so I also place some campfires on all over the place for some extra health regen as well, just like our arena above ground. After fishing for a while, I get the weather radio, which is the final component of the cell phone. I've never gotten this in any run before. I usually get the cell phone like after the Moon Lord, so this is surprising to get before I even fought the Wall of Flesh and got into hard mode. I do then get the lava proof hook while I'm actually just grinding for lava charms, and after getting the magma stone, I can shimmer it into the lava charm and get the Terra Spark boots. This is the best way to get the lava charm because the only other way is to get the lava charm from golden chests right above the underworld. If you know, back in the day, these used to be really annoying to get. Um, so I'm glad they allow you to shimmer them now. I reforge the Terra Spark boots to Violent, and after throwing on like a billion buffs, I go for the Wall of Flesh. Now, for context, I said buffs are overpowered in this video game. I use Iron Skin, Regen, Swiftness, Obsidian, Life Force, Heart Reach, Invis, Endurance, Wrath, Summoning, Thorns, Danger Sense, and the Venom Flask, as well as a Burger and Calming Potion to make sure I win this fight. And at first I'm thinking, I have this Star Cannon thing. Let's use that. I don't even remember if I use it because the fight goes so quickly. It's why I'm really stalling here is because it looks like a slideshow. For some reason, my computer lags quite a bit at the top level of the underworld in between like the cavern and underworld layer. So you will experience a little bit of lag in the video here. But after watching that slideshow, you can tell that the wall of flesh goes down really easily, and we are in hard mode now. Now, I already have a plan for hard mode, and the first part of the plan is, of course, to break demon altars. I've already mined down a convenient way to get to the demon altars immediately to the right of spawn, and my goal is to break exactly 18 altars. Now, the altar formula, what altars do is spawn the hard mode ores into your world, but the altar formula is calculated by using the ore value divided by how many cycles you've gone through. So the ore value for adamantite is 119. Let's round that to 120 to be nice. Um, how you calculate how much ore veins will be in the world is like this. We got palladium, orichalcum, and adamantite. The adamantite value is about 120. So the first cycle will spawn in 120 veins throughout the world after breaking 3 altars. In the next set of 3, uh, it'll divide that by 2 because this is cycle 2, and you'll get 60 veins. The next time, you'll divide it by 3 and get 40. The next time, you'll divide it by 4 and get 30, and so on. And here's a little chart for your convenience. Boom, future me, go! Google Sheets, Google Slides, something, go. But I break 18 altars, and that's enough. After that, it's not really worth it because that's 6 whole cycles, and I believe that gives 20 veins of adamantite in the last cycle. Um, but the palladium, orichalcum, and adamantite is kind of bad. Um, but we still play it. I just go, I start rushing it. No, I don't question anything. Um, I use Iron Skin, Regen, Calming, and Moderately Stuffed this whole time, and I make sure they're always topped off in advance. I quickly grab a Palladium pick by mining in the Mushroom biome. Uh, I opt out of the Palladium armor and immediately rush Orichalcum so that I can make the Orichalcum anvil and then the pickaxe as well. And I get a lot of adamantite at the roof of the underworld. Underworld enemies actually don't level up until after the mechanical bosses are all defeated. Then they'll turn into arch demons and lava bats. But for right now, this is probably the easiest area to deal with only having the danger of maybe mimics. Uh, but while mining adamantite, I find the wizard, and I get the adamantite set, which I choose the helmet for to get some extra defense. I find out that the hollow is actually on the left side, where the corruption used to be. I did kill the wall of flesh as far as to the right, which is the opposite of the jungle, as possible, so that I could avoid some evil spread there. Now, the underground hollow is just past the corruption, and I do grind some souls to spawn in some mimics later by using, I believe it's 12 or 15, maybe 15 souls. You can make a shadow or light key, and by putting just that key, one of that key, and nothing else in the chest, if you close that chest, it will turn into a biome mimic. I do then get a Daedalus Stormbow from a Hollowed Mimic. Now, this is the main item I wanted from the Hollowed Mimic, so I don't grind in the Underground Hollow much more. Um, but the Daedalus Stormbow is usually the weapon of choice when it comes to the Destroyer. I won't be using it too much, uh, but it is pretty good with Jester Arrows to defeat this multi-segment boss. The other main weapon people use is the Drippler Crippler, uh, which is my favorite. I will not be using the Drippler Crippler, but you can get it from the Blood Eels during a Blood Moon while fishing. I just didn't want to risk fighting the Dread Nautilus. Sometimes I mess up and that could get me killed. Again, if I get killed, it's all over. So I do want to lessen the risk and play it a little bit safe. I know it's kind of lame, uh, but it's what you got to do. I make the adamantite repeater so that I can kill some useless corrupt mimics. After I realize how useless they are, I get some more souls, make some hollowed housing uh, for the princess, party girl, and wizard. You'll see that later. I get the Titan glove because that's just a direct upgrade to the feral claws, and you can get the other component of the Titan glove from the mimics in the underground. I Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I also get the blindfold, armor polish, and vitamins from the underground corrupt biome. Those are all components of the Ong Shield, as well as the Bezoar and some other items, which you'll see later. I just want to point these out because they will be important to the suffering I will endure later. That's a lot of foreshadowing for one sentence. I then decide to go into a different world and use the shadow keys. Now, I don't take any items for this world because that would be cheating, but I do just go into this world, into the Crimson for convenience, and make a bunch of Crimson mimics, which I do fight vanilla, and I don't cheese them. Um, Now, what you can do instead is make an underground crimson biome and slowly wait for the crimson mimics to spawn in. That seemed a bit tedious. I didn't want to waste my time or yours, so that's all I did. I got the better accessory, which is actually good, especially for melee, and that is the flesh knuckles to make the berserker's glove. Now, the berserker's glove is absolutely cracked for the melee class. It increases melee speed by 12%, I believe, increases defense by, I believe, 8, and increases the size of your melee weapons while also offering auto swing. So it's a very, very good accessory to have, and it is amazing for these Crimson Mimics. I then buy a spell tome from the wizard. but I don't actually use it. I just throw it into the shimmer to get the Advanced Combat Techniques Volume 2. This can be useful if you don't want a ton of mobs killing your NPCs every 5 seconds. It just buffs your NPCs. And so that's useful to keep in mind. I then make a life fruit farm just right of my shimmer. This is in preparation for the destroyer. Now, after getting some pixie wings, I fish up some prismite in the hollowed biome. Prismite's really good to make life force potions, which just straight up increases your max HP by 20% when it's active. So it's very, very good. After this, I go into the underground corruption and the overworld hollow in order to get the trifold map, two blindfolds, a megaphone, two more megaphones, and a blindfold. And then I can shimmer a ton of items in order to get the Ankh Shield. I shimmer a blindfold into a pocket mirror. I shimmer the megaphone into the Nazar, however you pronounce that, which is probably the most annoying item to get out of all of them, the Nazar. Then I get another Bezoar, so I can shimmer it into a bandage, and I combine all the items into the Ankh Shield. If you know how this works, two items usually craft into one. And whenever you have one of the item, you can shimmer it into the other item it combines with. So if you get two Bezoars, you can use one of them to shimmer into a bandage, and you can create the like bandage, whatever that crap is. But anyway, we make the Ankh Shield, which is a pretty good item. And here I want to note that I sold all of my extra stuff so I can make a lot of money. In fact, I will have pretty much infinite money for this entire run. But just remember, I sold my extra like debuff blockers. I then upgrade my arena with another layer, fast statues, of course, heart lanterns, and campfires, and all of the station buffs are positioned in there as well, so I can make sure I have those on. After upgrading my arena, I'm now ready to destroy one of the easiest bosses and most cheesable bosses of all time. I fight it using the Daedalus Stormbone Jester arrows first, and then realize that I can also just, use the build that I'm actually using and start whacking at it with the Knight's Edge, and it goes down pretty easily. We're even able to tank a straight up uh, headshot, or whatever you want to call it. The head segment, when it rams into you, does a ton of damage. It's like getting hit by a literal truck, and Terraria Man just sits there and tanks it all and beats the destroyer. Um, I do fight it again so I can get some more hollowed bars. And then after beating it again, I make the hollowed repeater, which is a very, very good weapon at this point in the game. And then I do what no like Terraria player usually does, and I go into the jungle. Now, if you're familiar with the game, you may be thinking, but the next point of progression is after you beat all three mechanical bosses. You can go and fight Plantera. Shut up. I go into the jungle, and life fruit grows after you fight one mechanical boss. And so I fight just the destroyer, and I have access to all the light fruit I want. And after getting one, I throw a life fruit in the shimmer and get the Igus fruit, which allows me to get +4 defense permanently. I then get about 5 more life fruit, kill the Tavern Keep for a tombstone because he's useless. And that's right, in hardcore, you can't get tombstones because you can't die. And so NPCs give tombstones so that you can get access to the world evil in the other worlds. But now I decided to fight the twins for some reason. For the twins fight, I use the hollowed repeater, the superstar cannon, and the Excalibur. I also realized that it might be a bit dangerous to actually go after spasmatism with melee, so then I opt to use the hollowed repeater for most of the fight. The hollowed repeater I didn't apparently prepare enough, and I just used hellfire arrows, which are pretty good, but not the best option here, as cursed arrows are very, very good. The superstar shooter's also putting in a lot of work because I realized that I kind of invested in this really good weapon, so I should probably use it. So yeah, the magic mirror was pretty clutch in order to dodge some of those spasmatism flamethrower shots. But the twins were defeated, and we immediately make the optic staff. The optic staff is my favorite summon. I just like the twins. Being able to summon them just makes me happy for some reason. Uh, yeah, it's just yeah. I just like the twins. I then go use all my tombstones near the Dryad to make a graveyard biome and buy the Crimson Seeds. I make the Crimson biome in the underground in order to get some Ichor, which I do get some Ichor. Ichor is the better debuff as it gives plus 5% armor penetration to enemies as well. Alright, so a little bit of a correction. Ichor actually decreases defense by 15, so it's absolutely busted. Um, so yeah, Ichor is really, really good. I get another Magma Stone, which will be good for later in order to make the Fire Gauntlet. But you see, here a little disaster happens. And I did name my video file Disaster, and this whole section Disaster, because it's a disaster. You see, I forgot to record getting the literal Mega Shark, which I should have also used for the twins, but I didn't record getting the Mega Shark. I also didn't record getting a Crimson Key. And then, oh wait, maybe I did record that. Whatever. The Crimson doesn't matter because it's a corruption world anyway, so that's kind of dumb. Then I make another mistake. I I deleted and or sold the Ankh Shield, and then I beat Skeletron Prime. Now, all of these things sound like average, like smooth brain gameplay, but you see, the problem is that this entire series of events was not recorded at all. Like I forgot to hit the record button, and then I got to I went to the bathroom at one point, and then uh didn't record again. So I got the Mega Shark. I got like max. I think I got max HP during this time. Yeah, I did. I got max HP during this time. I got a Crimson Key. I beat Skeletron Prime, and then I deleted the Ankh Shield by accident, or I sold it. I'm not entirely sure. Um, but I had a choice to make here, and that was A, go into another world and steal the Ankh Shield, or B, grind it like a masochist. I would show you which option I chose, but you see, I played for 5 hours. I got the Cobalt Shield, and then went to the bathroom after being interrupted by the Pirate Invasion, which is the boss that I cheesed because I was really annoyed at this point. Uh, so I discovered I wasn't recording, started recording again after I lost the Ankh Shield, and got the Cobalt Shield, fought the pirates, and cheesed them all because I was really annoyed, and then I paused to go to the bathroom. But I never unpaused it, so I literally grinded the entire Ankh Shield for like 4 or 5 hours while off camera. And I think I also got a corruption key off camera. Yep, I got a corruption key off camera too. So I'll show you my kill counts. That'll be something. But I quite honestly should have just cheated like a brat and said, "Oh yeah, none of this happened." But I did refight the Skeletron Prime fight with all the items I had before because it was not caught on camera. Let's get immediately hit. That's wonderful. Let's do a little bit of that. Sure, that's on. Oh, that's why I used melee as a secondary. Or not really a secondary, a tertiary. Kill that, kill that. Maybe melee's just better. I mean, I can't use the fire gauntlet. That's post prime. Oh boy. Struggling a little bit more now. Struggling. Uh, whatever. Die, 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 die. Should be fine now. Yeah. Alright, there we go. I got my integrity points. I then grind some chlorophyte in order to get the true Excalibur. Then I get some turtle armor because after grinding forever, I have like 6 turtle shells. So that's that's whatever. I go and get a moon charm, and then I free the golfer because I forgot about him. And then I make a crimson biome above my hollowed biome. And I do want my good old rage potion because I like that better than wrath. Um, I then go to get some more chlorophyte, but mostly to try and find the stupid temple because I haven't found it yet. Now, while I was searching for the temple, I clearly didn't find it as I searched the whole left side, but I kind of, much like politics, you forget there's another side of politics. Like, you only remember the right or the left, and that's the only side you actually see, and then the other side you see is the enemy. But this time I decided to just dig straight down on the right side, and apparently that led me to the jungle temple. This is a great game. I'm having a lot of fun, actually. This is actually my favorite experience. Um, but we find the jungle temple. I go back for some corruption fishing and some underground fishing in order to get the enchanted sundial. Now it can be found with some low chances from different crates. I believe the crate chances are 1 in 200, 1 in 60, and 1 in 20. When did I get that? The tier 1 crates have like a 1 in 200 chance to drop the enchanted sundial. The tier 2 has 1 in 60, and tier 3 has 1 in 20, and we end up getting the enchanted sundial. This can be used to skip the solar eclipse when it shows up, um, which will be really useful if I don't want to die, which is kind of the whole point of this. I make the chlorophyte shotbow, which is a really good weapon for Plantera, make an arena for a short, 50 minutes, and then I use the Nimbus Rod for
Oh,
Plantera.
she's right
The
there.
Nimbus Rod is a very, very good weapon to have as a just kind of like side weapon, a good sub weapon to have. Um, you can use 2 clouds, which will just be like sentries shooting down rain. Um, this is very good for multi-segment enemies or enemies that you can just force in one place. This would be like the Destroyer, Golem, and of course Plantera, where you can just go in a circle the whole time, and she takes a ton of damage over time from the Nimbus Rod. We use the same arrows and bullets as last time, and Plantera goes down pretty quickly due to the sheer power and speed of the true Excalibur. I then bully the Golem like he's that like free kid in like in middle school. Like some people would like bully themselves. Like some things I just can't help it. Like it's just so free. Like some kids like just leave the opportunity. And like how can you not accept the opportunity to just bully them? Like one kid in high school, I'm not even joking, literally put himself in a locker to brag about how he can fit in a locker. And I'm standing right outside the locker like it's free. Of course I'm going to close the locker door and like just walk away because that's hilarious. And so I do the same to Gollum and I close the door and shut him into hell straight up. And then I drag him out because he's actually just in purgatory because apparently I'm a Catholic now. I stick him in purgatory and start farming him over and over in order to make beetle scale mail. I still don't get like the stupid sunstone or the uh, Eye of Gollum, but I'll get that later because uh, I'm not done yet. He's just so free. He's just so fun to bully and punch around. I go into the dungeon, which is now upgraded after fighting Plantera, I do get, of course, the corruption chest item because wait, when did I get the corruption? Oh, I got it off camera, of course. Yeah, that never mind. Um, and that has the Scourge of the Corruptor, which is pretty good, specifically in the dungeon area where mobs may be around corners and stuff. You can cheese a lot of the mobs there, and I get the Paladin Shield after about 45 minutes. That I get the Paladin Shield after an hour and a half, actually. Never mind. I then fight the Solar Eclipse. After fighting Plantera, the Solar Eclipse gets upgraded, and now you can find Mothrons, which drop Broken Hero Swords. So, by fighting the Solar Eclipse, I get a Broken Hero Sword for a Terra Blade, which I immediately upgrade, and then I get a Neptune Shell from one of the Fisherman guys. Zombie Merman, sorry. Um, and then I think, huh, I guess there's nothing left in the solar eclipse to get, and I forget about the moonstone, so I just used the sundial to skip everything, which was stupid. I then have to bully Gollum some more because I want his items. I get the sunstone from him later, and the Eye of Gollum. I then go back to the solar eclipse in order to get the moonstone from vampires for the celestial shell, probably the best accessory for the melee class in general. It gives you a lot of buffs, much like well fed, but even better, and have an upgrade during night as well. Just look it up on the wiki if you want to know all the buffs. I might put it on the side here. Magic. Ooh, never mind, it's a lot of numbers. That would be too hard for you to read. I know in the English literacy in America is like 10% on average, and I think the average math literacy in America is like 8% of high school graduates. Our education system's amazing, guys. Um, Anyway, I decided to pivot to Mage for some stupid reason. My last playthrough was done with Mage, so for some reason I'm like, huh, Mage has high DPS. Let's use that. And so I practiced for a while and realized that I just die a lot against the Moon Lord. So after literally making a Spectre armor, grinding more power cells, bullying the Golem more, and making a Destroyer emblem, I I kind of realized that Mage is not the play. Now, after bullying Gollum for like 2 hours or something, I don't know. You lose track of time when you're having fun. Um, I bully Gollum and realize that I'm at the end of the game because we have that dungeon upgrade, and we also have access to pretty much all the events and everything left in the game. Um, that was really redundant. I'm not gonna apologize or retake that. I'm just gonna throw that in. Um, Now Duke Fishron was available since the beginning of hard mode, and if you know where this is going, there are three mounts available at this point of the game that give infinite flight that one can consider for facing the Moon Lord with. And that starts with the Shrimpy Truffle, which can be used to use the cute fish on mount. Now, this is not the option I go with. I have a little bit of trouble with Duke Fish Run, but also it's only faster than the other two when in rain. Other than that, it's actually slower than both of them, I believe. And you can use bubbles as well, but uh, that's too much effort for me, so I just don't use the cute fish run primarily to avoid fighting Duke fish run. The second mount is the Witch's Broom. Now, the Witch's Broom is pretty good. It has very good horizontal movement. Its vertical is slightly lacking, but it's pretty good all around. I also choose it not to do this because the Witch's Broom, uh, you do have to fight the Pumpkin Moon for it. You also have to get a little bit lucky with the Morning Woods, which are a mini boss found in the Pumpkin Moon. And I've never gotten through enough waves in the Pumpkin Moon without dying to fight everything and get good drops. And that's just too much of a risk for me, especially being very out of practice in that area. So I instead opt for the Martian Invasion. Now, I am familiar with the Martian Invasion, but I've never beaten it without dying. I'm very good with movement with the Cosmic Car Keys. The thing about all three of these mounts, especially the Cosmic Car Keys, is that you can avoid the Phantasmal Death Ray. The Cosmic Car Keys allow you, if you have good enough reaction, to just go diagonal up and left and then up and right, or vice versa, to avoid his Phantasmal Death Ray. It might be slightly easier with the Witch's Broom, but Q Fishron is easily the most punishable because if you don't recognize where you are and what the death ray is doing. By getting too far away from Duke Fishron, you will need to dodge the lasers by using, of course, the magic mirror or the rod of discord, both of which are not the best option as it can lead to some tight situations. So I go for the cosmic car keys and I find a Martian probe in order to start the invasion. Now I go in fully buffed because I don't want to die from this. And it actually goes pretty well. After playing through most of Fargo's mod uh, on a different file, I was able to realize that the patterns of the stupid Martian saucers are pretty easy and I no hit most of them. And instead of getting the car keys, of course, I get the Xeno staff, which is also pretty good. And I replace the twins with the Xeno staff, which is probably the best summon in the game, just due to its good targeting system. Now, it might not be the best for Empress of Light, but it is really good for its targeting and damage. I get another invasion after using like all of the spawn increasing items I can think of because the chances of a Martian probe spawning in are decreased by I think eh, they're decreased to like 1 in 50 of what they used to be after you beat the first Martian invasion. So it's a little bit tedious, but I get my second Martian invasion and again beat it without dying and get the cosmic car keys this time. Now, as I've realized that I'm in the final stretch, I do stress grind for barbecue ribs in the dungeon, uh, which give you the exquisitely stuffed buff for like 20 some minutes, I think. So it is very, very good to have a lot of those. Oh, by the way, if you use auto fire, you cringe. Or auto pause. Auto pause is worse though. Like I said before, I went for a defense loadout, and given that I have the cosmic car keys, I can now focus on my build. I no longer need movement because movement's not affected when you're in a mount, and I decide for replacing most of my build. Now, the first thing I need for my new build um, is the Brain of Confusion, or whatever it's called, Brain of Cthulhu, Brain of Confusion. See, it worked. It confused me even. I get six vicious mushrooms. Vidious. That's not even a word. I get six vicious mushrooms in order to spawn in the Brain of Cthulhu. But while I do that, I get a Crimson Key again because why not? Um, I fight the Brain of Cthulhu, which is very free. But the Brain of Confusion gives you a 1 in 6 dodge chance. Uh, but unlike the Worm Scarf, which gives 1 in 6 straight up damage decrease, you also get several other buffs. You have a 60% chance to give yourself the Cerebral Mind Trick debuff when you dodge. Now, this debuff is actually a buff as it gives you like, what, 10% increased crit rate for a couple seconds, and then 60% chance of confusing enemies after damaging them or after you dodge it, whatever. It's just really good. That's all you need to know. Really good dodge chance, better than the Master Ninja gear, especially given that we couldn't use it in the mount anyway. So I've decided that I'm going to go full defense already, like I said, but I realized that the Moon Lord doesn't have any blockable debuffs other than knockback. So I'm actually going to switch out the Terra Spark boots, my Pixie wings or whatever wings I have at this point, and the Ankh shield itself that I literally regrinded after the Lunatic Cultist and the pillars. I'm going to swap those out for again the Brain of Confusion. Then I'm going to swap out the Frozen Shield for the wings. Now, the Frozen Shield is really good, as I believe it negates knockback, gives you 6 defense, and when you're below 50% health, you also get another 25 damage reduction, 25% damage reduction. Now, from all these buffs, you do get diminishing return. For example, when you have the 25% decreased damage buff from the Frozen Shield, that's 1/4 less damage, so that's 3/4 taken damage. Um, but we also have the Worm Scarf. When you take that into account, that was already 1 in 6 or 16.67% damage decrease. But now that we also have the 25%, we actually take the 16% from the remaining 75. So that gives the Worm Scarf actually only gives like 12.6 percent damage reduction if you take into account the other buffs. So again, all these have diminishing returns unless if they're additive, but these are proportional, so are multiplicative. But I'm not an English guy. I'm clearly a math guy. Cry about it. Um, but anyway, there are diminishing returns, but we are going to focus primarily on damage reduction and defense. So we are going for Frozen Shield, the Brain of Confusion, and finally, I put back on the Berserker's Glove, uh, because the Berserker's Glove is just good. I also still keep the Worm Scarf, Fire Gauntlet, and Celestial Shell, which I have for the other fight. But for the Lunatic Cultist fight, I keep the Worm Scarf, Fire Gauntlet, and Celestial Shell, and use the Beetle Wings. I use the Terra Spark Boots, and I use the Ong Shield. And I use those six for the pillars as well. Now, the Lunatic Cultist I've had trouble with in the past, but I have learned something. The stupid clones, I can't believe I didn't notice this before, but the clones have circle eyes. The fake or the real guy that you want to hit when he makes the clones has like a pointy eye. So I know it's supposed to be like the guy's always to like the right of the player and like up, but the I never noticed that it was just the real guy has pointy eyes. So I used the Terra Blade and pretty much just wrecked the Lunatic Cultist without much trouble. Need to keep my distance. Die, 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 die. All right. She can do that. I buff up and take on the solar pillar first, and it goes really well. Um, it just goes well. I've never had this much success with the solar pillar, and it goes down pretty easily, so that I can make the godly daybreak. I then go for the vortex pillar, and then the stardust pillar. Then I make the enchanted moon dial with the shimmer by throwing the enchanted sundial in. Um, This will be useful because the Celestial Shell, which I'm keeping for both fights, has an increased buff at night. And so if it ever turns day, I can flip the switch and immediately get the extra buff as well, which, spoiler alert, I don't end up doing. I then go for the Nebula Pillar and immediately rush to make some super potions, and I'll let the rest play out naturally. I have to pee. Okay. Alright. I just checked to make sure I'm recording. And I am. And switch to the frost field. And everything else. Now we're gaming. Now we are doing well indeed. Oh, we're doing no damage. This is frightening. This one. I'm not dying, which is good. Just that we're not doing damage. Oh man, this world is high. That's how you dodge the death ray. Pro strats. I'm not a pro, by the way. Oh, didn't work that time. Too stupid for that. Die, 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 die. Alright. Gotta watch that attack. Building damage reduction, that's good. Oh, the heart's open. That's... Alright, got hit. I guess that's fine. Oh, man. Maybe tanky's the way to go. I'd already be dead like 9 times over as a mage. Oh, man. Yeah, man. I can dodge this crap, I forgot to switch to recall potions. Doesn't matter. I know I won. I know I won. Yeah. I thought that'd feel more satisfying. That took forever. Like, that took forever. Oh, man. I forgot to... That fast forwards the credits. This whole game is like so skewed with its difficulty. Like all of the difficulty feels like it's exploring. Like with hardcore, like all of it is like exploring, and if you explore, you'll just die. But like exploring is half of Terraria. How many hours did I play this file? Like, I guess I'll check after this, but like, oh. Like, I have a lot of hours. I didn't, like, it just feels bad because this feels like using cheese. And that was like the one thing I was trying not to do. Like, I guess it wasn't really cheese. It's just defense is busted in this game. Like, defense is just too good in this video game. Like, it's just insane. Let's kill me. Oh, wait. No, I didn't cheese. I didn't use the nurse heal box. There you have it. Terraria is a hard game, guys. I have no clue how many hours I put into this thing. I didn't even edit yet. Oh, that's gonna suck. Oh man. Yeah, and the fact that I had to cut down almost the entirety of all this time, like half of this will never be seen. It's just gonna look like how do you even prove you actually did it? Like, what? I have like the Ankh Shield in all my files. I have like Terra Spark in half of my files. I have like I have the Celestial Shell in my melee files. Like I have a lot of the stuff in my other files. So like, for all you know, I could have cheated this whole time. Anyway, this took forever to make. In fact, I'm not done yet, so this might take forever. But I said I would do it. I started it, and now I've ended it. And man, this took forever. I thought I was gonna quit at one point because I died so many times. Oh man. Well, let me know if you want me to do another Terraria challenge or a different video game challenge. Like Hollow Knight's pretty fun. I might do a randomizer or two for that. I might do like Zenith medium core like Waffletime did, but he's the goat. So like you, why would I try to emulate that? Um, but wow. Um, and just let me know if you enjoyed this because this took forever. And thanks for watching. And may God bless you today and forever. See you. 41 hours?